everybody, today is going to be a great day. If you stumbled across this video because you are a fan of Daniel Daou or Daou Vineyards, let me introduce you to myself. I am John Nador, also known as HookahJohn. I sell, produce, create, promote hookah products from all around the world, and I also have a big HookahJohn following. So my following knows a lot about my passion, which is hookah. They also know about my personal passions outside of hookah, which is wine, which is why today's going to be a great day. I want to introduce a good friend of mine to you, Daniel Daou. We're here in Paso Robles, so prepare your hookah, open a bottle of wine, make a charcuterie board if you have to for this one, because this is going to be a great experience with my friend Daniel Daou. Hello everyone, I'm John Nador, also known as HookahJohn, and it's a great pleasure to share with you my good friend Daniel Daou. He's a winemaker and proprietor of Daou Vineyards. Now, Daou is not just another brand of wine on the shelf, and we're going to get into that. And I want you guys to know why I consume it pretty much 100% of the time. Daniel, thanks for having me here today.
Always good to see you, John.
Nice to see you as usual.
Proud of your accomplishments, by the way.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
As I am of yours, big time, and that's what I want to get into. So your story, it's out there. I don't know how much of my audience has heard about it, so I want them to listen to some podcasts if you can recommend any, or I'm going to put them in the clip below because I listen to a lot of them. Tell me about your background briefly, without doing the hour-long version. Yeah. And if you get to see the hour-long version, you should, because it is an amazing story. But I want to get into some more personal stuff, friendly stuff, me as a consumer. But let us know, who are you? Daniel Daou.
I'm Daniel Daou. I'm Lebanese, born in Lebanon. When the Civil War started, our family was the first family to be wounded in the entire Civil War. The first rocket that exploded came to our house. Fortunately, we were all pretty badly injured. Our mom had been born and grown up in a French island in France, so we spoke French. We had the French citizenship. So we immigrated to France, where my brother and I and the rest of our family grew up most of our youth till we were 18 years old. At 18, we immigrated to the United States, fell in love with California. Started my career as an engineer, same with my brother. We started our first company that specialized in computerizing hospitals. But then I realized quickly in my 20s that my true calling was to be a winemaker, to the shock of my parents and my family, who wondered, what is wrong with you? You're going to become a farmer, and you're an engineer and an executive. But they encouraged me to pursue my dreams. And today, but actually 15 years ago, my brother and I decided to start our winery, Daou Vineyards, Daou Family Estates, and moved to Paso Robles, where we established our winery and focused on really showing the potential of what this place can provide. That's in a nutshell, the short version of how we got here.
That is a very short version. I'm glad. Again, I'm going to emphasize they need to see all of this. What I do for my audience, I'm not always selling or promoting. I'm showing them what I like to do in my personal life, along with my passion for smoking hookah and bringing good products to the market. It is red wine, or it is wine in general. So I want to tell you my story about how I was introduced to you and to Daou Vineyards. I forget the year. I believe it must have been about 2012, 2013. We have a mutual friend. He said he doesn't mind me saying his name. You mind?
Not at all.
Okay, our friend from San Diego, Suhail. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good friend of yours. So he's a mutual friend. And we're always smoking hookah. We're always with the family. We're always drinking wine. He said, Johnny, you got to come see our friend Danny. You know Danny Daou? He opened up a place, a beautiful vineyard, and he's making all these amazing wines. And you know how Suhail gets into it.
Yeah.
So he's telling me, and I'm getting excited with him. The way he speaks to you, he gets you all pumped up and energized. I'm like, all right, that's great. He goes, we're going to have a boys' trip. He's going to have his cousin, our friend. We're gonna go out there and see him. I'm like, all right, great. Look, when? And I said, where is it? He said, it's in Paso Robles. And that's where my energy went like, okay. Yeah,
I totally understand.
At that time, So, you understand that. Me as I didn't have as much experience wine drinking then, but I was just kind of, okay, we all know about France, but it's like learning another language. French wine, Italian wine. I'm not well versed in those. It takes time. Yeah. So, we'd explore stores, Napa Valley mainly, some Sonoma, but Paso, I didn't have good luck in it. But then I came up And from that moment, and I can get into it in more detail, I mean, I became a wine member right away, a club member, in the highest level too. And I even pad my orders. I don't wait for the,
I know, too well.
For the quarterly orders. So tell us about Paso Robles.
See, Paso is arguably, in my opinion, the greatest terroir on earth for producing Bordeaux varieties. Now, I say that without shedding any bad light on other great regions like Napa or Bordeaux, which are also fantastic regions. But there's a reason we came here. And I think once you understand the reasons, you will understand why we like to talk about our winery and say we're not just a winery. We're a case of disruptive innovation. Now,
Nice.
I have to tell you, the wine business is a very old business. Wineries sometimes have been around for thousands of years. So in the life of a winery, when you're 15 years old, it's nothing. It is literally nothing. Our winery launched our first Soul of a Lion, which is our flagship wine, about in 2013, so 9 years ago. And the last 3 years, a high-end cab from Paso Robles has outsold every high-end cab in California, from California, besides one. Now, I say that not to be boastful. I say that to prove the point and explain why this disruption is happening. Let's talk about that. Wine quality, kind of like hookah in a lot of ways, is tied to terroir. Okay? Where you grow your grapes, your soil, and your climate are going to be the biggest determining factor in realizing if you can produce great wines or not. It all comes down to that. A winemaker can only take the quality so far. Some winemakers can extract better, can produce better wines from a terroir. But at the end of the day, if your terroir is not great, you're simply not going to make great wine. So what is it that we found in Paso that doesn't exist, in our opinion, anywhere else on the planet? Let's talk about that. So soil and climate. What do we know about soil, Johnny? We know that most great vineyards in the world, especially in Europe, all share the same soil. You find these soils in Bordeaux, in Burgundy, in Champagne, in Alsace. Doesn't matter where you look, in Tuscany, Austria, Germany, you find them everywhere. These soils in French are called argilo-calcaire. In English, they're called calcareous clay. These are very unique soil because they allow you to make natural wines. They allow you to make wines that are not adulterated, that don't have acid added to them, that don't require all these lab, basically, interventions to produce better wines. Fortunately, these soils don't exist in California, besides the west side of Paso Robles and a couple other places on the Central Coast. So when we found these soils, I was shocked. I was like, I didn't even know they existed in California. Let's talk about climate. Climate is a very unique thing because without climate, you don't ripen well or you ripen too much. So it's like a bell curve. You don't want to be too cold. You don't want to be too warm. You want to be just where you should be to achieve ripeness year after year. Our vineyard is the only vineyard that we know of in California that's at 2,200 feet elevation, that's only 14 miles from the Pacific Ocean, and that grows Bordeaux varieties. There are a couple others that grow Pinot, but not Bordeaux varieties. So to summarize our climate, we are right between Bordeaux and Napa, especially St. Helena Napa. We're cooler than St. Helena, probably more in line with Oakville, and warmer than Bordeaux. So the combination of the soil and this climate is so unique that is allowing us to make very unique wines that are capturing the heart and the soul of consumers worldwide, up to 50 countries today.
Absolutely. All of that. I know I've had this conversation with you before. You told me about it, and that's actually one of the topics I want to discuss, because that's how you got me. After my journey with Daou, being a club member, trying all these different wines, it led me into the patrimony, which I want to get into because that's a whole separate topic.
Yes.
But there's a question that I have for you. I mean, okay, there's a lot of wineries out there that have, their one bottle and then their signature reserve bottle. But with Daou Vineyards, you've got blends. You have Cab Sauvignon, you have Cab Franc, you have Petit Verdot, you have Tannat, you have Malbec. You have, I drink all of these, by the way. I have them all. And that's why I can live off of Daou wines because of just the variety in the different types of wine, different grapes, and also the variety and price. So I can have, on certain occasions, I can have an amazing bottle of patrimony, let's say, or I try not to go through one a month. All right, I'll tell everyone that. But there's also, sometimes you have guests that are not big wine fans, okay? Well, you still have to have wine, and you still have to put something in their cups. So there's a range, everything from, say, the $20 range to the $40 range. By the way, in one of the interviews I heard with you, you were calling $25 range of wine luxury. They were considering it luxury.
Yeah, so $20 to $25 is called the luxury segment. I know that for some people, 25 is not luxury,
Right.
But overall, for the entire population, that's considered
Maybe market.
a luxury segment. And actually, our Cabernet Sauvignon that we call the Discovery Cabernet Sauvignon is the number one sold Cabernet Sauvignon in the luxury category in the United States today.
Yeah, that's good to, I've been seeing it everywhere. I go, when we go to restaurants now, especially for, I'd say, the last 4 or 5 years, I will bring my own bottle of Daou Vineyards, Daou wine. And what I'll never do, though, is take a bottle that is on a wine list from a restaurant and do that. That's kind of tacky. I mean,
it's respectful to the winery, to the restaurant, which I totally understand.
But there's some things that I wanted to, like, what I'll do is take things that you can't get unless you're a club member.
Correct.
So in one of my videos, I visited the winery about a month ago, and at the end of where we're sitting, you have these rows of your experimental or test on the clones.
Yes.
You have about 6 to 8 of them there?
11.
11 now?
Yes.
Okay. They're not all released, or they're so
we will
small
be
now.
releasing our first multi-clonal, fermented, co-fermented, and grown in-field clone together for the first time at the end of this year in the fall. And it's actually going to be called Cuvée Catherine, after my daughter Catherine.
Nice.
It's a very small production of about 100 cases,
Right.
but it's stunning. It is 11 different clones grown together in the field and fermented together and aged together in barrel. So all integrated.
What is a clone?
So Cabernet Sauvignon, think about it this way. You have cars, but you have different cars. You have some cars that go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. You've got cars that go 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. You've got cars that can handle 9 passengers. You've got cars that can handle 2. They come in different varieties, but they're all cars. Cabernet is one variety. It comes in different clones. Some of them are what's called quantitative. Some of them are qualitative. When they're quantitative, they focus on production. They have a lot of grapes growing on the one vine. When they're qualitative, they tend to be lower yields. So some of them are known for giving blue fruit, cooked blueberry. Some of them are known for giving black fruit. Some of them are known for giving red fruit. So Cabernet Sauvignon comes in different, ways, in different shapes, and different varieties. In different, character or description. But they're all Cabernet Sauvignon.
Is it due to region where they come? Because you can grow Cabernet Sauvignon in France. You can grow it in California.
It's not. It's not. Well, originally they all came from France.
Okay.
So not really due to region. However, what you will find is that some regions focus on some clones versus others focus on other clones. So if you're going into a region that makes a $10 Cabernet Sauvignon, you're not going to find those clones that we use that provide you with, small, minute yield on the vine. You're going to want more grapes. So you get into the red fruit spectrum. But you start getting into the blue and black fruit spectrum, you're dealing with higher quality clones that are known for that, which is the classic Cabernet.
So the numbers that you're assigning to your clones, are they you're assigning those numbers, or no? Those are scientific numbers.
Those are so there are organizations out there like NTAV or FPS.
Okay.
And what they do is they basically have clones that they identify, that they reproduce, that they free up of viruses. So they're called clones numbers because they call them these numbers.
I see.
So for instance, if you take a clone, that's probably my favorite clone 412.
That's mine.
Yeah, so that's an NTAV clone from France. And it's known for being earlier ripening. So it ripens a little bit earlier than the other clones, which is very good, especially in colder years. It's known for being very strong on the black fruit spectrum, which I like quite a bit. So that's what it's known for. So every clone is going to be known for something different. Clone 169, another great clone that we use quite a bit of, is known for blue fruit spectrum. So it's more on the bluish. So when I like to combine different clones, I get a little bit of a diverse profile. That's not just one, singular, flavor profile, but rather a multitude of profiles that come together.
Okay. What about your estate cab? What clone is that, or do you not disclose it? You don't have to.
We do. So estate cab is usually multiple clones that are put together. Sometimes up to 11 or 12 different clones that go into this bottling. It all depends on the year. It all depends on the vintage, because the way we look at blocks on our mountain is not by clone. We don't look at them per rootstock or clone or exposure. We simply look at them by looking at the phenolics of the wine made that year. And so the higher end wine is going to have higher phenolics. When you start going down the chain, you're going to get lower phenolics. So the phenolics are color, tannin, for structure, aroma, all these things are phenolics. So a wine that's more intense, that's got more concentration, more aromatic, is probably going to have a higher phenolic wine.
That's a story that I want to talk about, how I got into patrimony. Okay. So obviously I'm a club member, I get your marketing materials. I get one day, beautiful Daou marketing materials, and I'm looking through what's new today, and they're introducing patrimony. It might have been out a couple years before, but I did not hear about it. I forget the vintage, but I think
13 vintage was the first vintage for patrimony.
And then
so
it was released
in 2017.
17.
4 years later.
That might have been the first one then.
It is, probably.
I remember reading this stuff and looking at how amazing the marketing was. I can't wait to try it. And then I was looking at the pricing, and I'm like, it's a little bit out of my range. I'm really proud of Danny and his family, but I'm going to pass on this one. And what I did was I came up, not related to that or anything, I came up and visited you within a month or two, and you started describing the phenolics to me. It was more of your story and you doing the explanation that you're doing now, and which you're about to do on phenolics a little bit more, and about patrimony, that I was just sitting there listening to you, and I'm like, sign me up for a case. It was instant because of the way you described it, and it had to do with your passion. You know what you're doing, you love what you're doing, and I don't know, obviously you're good at it. I drink it all the time, so not just patrimony, but everything you have. So let's talk about patrimony and the differences between. Actually, we never got into the last question. Why do you have so many different kinds? Why can you have so many? Should you? When I talk about different kinds, I mean you have the Petit Verdot, the Cab Franc, the Cab Sauvignon.
So there are 5 red grape varieties that are called Bordeaux varieties, even though last year Bordeaux added 7 more. But let's just stick to the 5 main traditional ones. You've got Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and Malbec. Now, if you look at, for instance, France, depending on the region in Bordeaux, you have different varieties growing. So, for instance, if you look at the right bank of Bordeaux, you're not going to have much Cab. It's going to be mostly Cab Franc and Merlot, because the weather there, the soil are more conducive to growing these varieties. You start going to the left bank, you're going to find more Cabernet Sauvignon, because you have better drainage, you have better soil, especially if it rains there, and Cabernet Sauvignon thrive there as well. So it all depends on the region you're at. But what we've done, our focus, we are a Bordeaux estate winery. So 99% of what we planted is Bordeaux and 1% Chardonnay, because I just happen to love Chardonnay, and at the bottom of the hill it's cold, and I wanted to plant something that likes the colder weather. But we are a Bordeaux focused estate. So what you see from us is different renditions based on the variety, but all of them are there to show the potential that Bordeaux varieties can accomplish on our estate.
Yeah. It's amazing. Now, what is patrimony? Because I know there's more to just another label, another bottle.
Absolutely.
You've showed me, you've taken me. Please tell us about it.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, when I mentioned the fact that our winery is not just a winery, it's a case of disruptive innovation, let me describe that in just a couple of minutes. The way to objectively look at wine quality is by looking at what we call phenolics. Now, what are phenolics? When you take a glass of red wine, there are 3 things that you do. First, you look at the color. Why is color important? Because a wine that has higher color tends to be more textural, and texture and density play a big role in the wine quality. The second thing that you do is you smell the wine. Bouquet is very important. The one thing you'll notice about our wines is very aromatic, like a fresh cut bouquet of flowers, especially once you start aging the wines. I just did a vertical going back to 2010. The thing that mesmerized me was like they became actually with years more and more floral, which is really, really very unique. Then the last thing that you do is you taste the wine. And based on the structure of the wine, you'll know if the wine can age a long time. You'll know if the wine is balanced, if it's over-extracted, if it's not over-extracted. All these things are called phenolics. And today you can measure them. You can look at a glass of wine. Instead of saying, oh, it's got a nice deep color, you can say, oh, that wine's got 250 parts per million of color. You can look at a wine and taste it and go, oh, this wine has been over-extracted because this or that. Or this wine is going to be able to age for 50 years because of the tannin levels. So we become a lot more scientific, not at the making of the wine as much as at analyzing and understanding how wine quality behaves. Well, one of the reasons I mentioned that we're a case of disruptive innovation is because today we can deliver a bottle of wine that sells for $43 or $45 on the market that has more phenolics than 99% of high-end cabs from California and 100%, almost, actually it is 100%, of every Bordeaux wine from Bordeaux. So the consumer, for a fraction of the price, is able to get incredible wine quality of a wine that can age decades for $40-some.
Right.
So I did a tasting. I had friends visiting from Denmark last week, and they were curious about that when I made that statement. So we came here, we grabbed a bottle of wine that sells for $250 from Bordeaux, okay, a very famous wine. I won't mention the name out of respect. And then we opened, and from 2012, which was a good vintage in Bordeaux, versus or against 2 bottles of Cab Reserve, not even our Soul of Lion or Patrimony, Cab Reserve. The Reserve Cabs dwarfed the other wine. They all picked that wine as the best wine, and it's 15% of what it would cost otherwise. So that has caused disruption in the wine industry because of the quality we can provide at the cost we can provide. Now, why Patrimony? Once you understand that, you understand Patrimony. Patrimony is the highest phenolic blocks that we find out of 410 acres, making us arguably the largest West Side vineyard in Paso. So we're very picky about choosing these blocks. The phenolics that we reach on Patrimony, we've measured 700 of the best Cabernets in the world. We haven't even seen anything within 30% of what we can accomplish with Patrimony. So you're dealing with a wine that has the texture that's never been seen before and has tannin structure that will allow it to age for a very long time. I mean, it's an incredible wine. We like to refer to it as a rare phenomenon. So it has taken the market by storm, and today it's all over the world. And I'm sure you've heard, but many people from the famous winery Opus One actually quit to come and join.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, that's another topic I wanted to get into. But first, on the Patrimony, you had a event for those that bought Patrimony, that particular vintage. And I was talking to one of the young guys who came out from Los Angeles as well. And he's like, have you tried it before? I go, yeah, I tried it. I got a case. He goes, I haven't even tried it yet. I go, what are you waiting for? He said, why, how many did you have? I said, I've already had 6 of the bottles out of the case that I had of 12. He goes, you've had 6 of them? I go, what are you waiting for? Why? I mean, take 1 or 2 out of that case, age it, put it away, but enjoy that 10 in this year. Next year, there's going to be another case.
That's exactly how I go. When I like a wine, I buy a case, I drink few, and then I keep 6 or so that I can drink them, a decade or 2 later.
Yeah. And so I was telling him, I mean, we have to enjoy it now. I tried. There was a period of time where I started making, verticals of Daou wines. And then I remember it was the beginning of the pandemic, and I was texting you back and forth, like, what are you doing? How are you getting through this? You mentioned something about, I just live every day as if it's going to be
the last day.
Exactly. I said, you know what? Those verticals, we're going to do one every single night. I know you should drink it in one setting, right? Yeah, but there's only so much I can drink by myself. So that's a great one. Another thing I wanted to talk about was it's a different piece of land too, an elevation as well with Patrimony, right?
Correct. You're looking at 2,200 feet elevation, which is very high, giving us beautiful, beautiful mountain fruit to work with.
Yeah. One thing that's funny, our friend Sohail said something. He said, I don't know if you agree with this or not. He said, Daniel Daou is the Steve Jobs of wine.
Well, that's a great compliment. Yeah. I mean, thank you. Sohail is very kind.
Yeah, he is kind. And I said, you know what? I'm going to use that when I see Danny. Some other things.
I would add that it's not just Danny. If it is, it's Danny and George. My brother and I are really 2 people in one. And I think our union really makes our strength.
Absolutely. We didn't bring up George, who is your brother.
Yes.
And again, like I said, I'm going to urge people to go see to go listen to the other podcasts with the whole story, because it's not as simple as what we just spoke at the beginning of this video. There's so much more, and I just want to have a little fun on this. One person told me, we were listening to your podcasts and studying, and this guy said that your voice is exactly like Andy Garcia's in Ocean 11.
I love Andy Garcia.
Yeah. But listen to it. We had it. I said, no. We were listening to it was in the office. We were listening to one of your podcasts, and he puts on a scene from Ocean's 11. And I'm like, yeah, that actually does sound like he's I'm wondering, you used to smoke cigars?
Yes.
You don't anymore? And
Yeah,
I think
not as much anymore, no.
I think Andy is a big cigar smoker.
You know, it's funny, but I often do wine dinners all over the country, all over the world. And a few times I use this really cool line that I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Working Women with, I think, Melanie Griffith, going back a few decades.
Yeah.
So I used that line. I said, you know what? I'm half Lebanese, half French. So I got a bod for sin and a mind for business.
Nice.
I said I used to, because now with age, the bod is gone, but hopefully the mind is still here.
All right, that's great. Speaking of Lebanon and the wine, I asked you, I wanted you to watch this documentary on Lebanese wine and your thoughts on that. Not so much on the wine, but did you know that in Lebanon now there's 80 wineries? They're
popping left and right, and I've actually had some incredible wines from wineries that weren't known 10, 20 years ago. And I was very impressed. They're really working on upping the quality. The terroir is fantastic. It's actually very similar to here, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, the same kind of soil in some parts, and great climate, depending on how high elevation you are.
Sure.
Very proud of the Lebanese winemakers. They're doing a great job, and I think they're really helping put these wines, on. I have to tell you, because I've traveled the world of wine, there's so much respect for Lebanese wine out there. It's unbelievable. I mean, every time I go somewhere and they find out I'm Lebanese, they want to spend a half hour talking about every Lebanese wine, saying how they think it's the best wine and how they've been buying it for decades. Yeah. So the Lebanese spirit has done, and the people have done an incredible job marketing and promoting their wines worldwide, and there's a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, watch that War and Wine.
War and Wine, yeah, definitely, I will be.
We'll do that. So, speaking of Lebanon, when's the last time you went?
2018.
18, I think I went in maybe 19. But I had spent 8 years without going. So I saw a lot of improvements. This is before their current crisis and all that. I saw a lot of improvements with the road and the infrastructure and even the air quality, because all those old cars that they had lying around, they got rid of them, and all the cars being made now are more environmentally friendly. Yeah. The food there, okay, we have Lebanese food here in the U.S. and it looks the same in pictures, and it's not bad. It tastes good, but it's not the same as what you get over there. Have you found that? Have you missed that difference here? Yeah,
I definitely. I find that the flavors are a lot richer there. I don't know why. Maybe because they don't use GMO. Maybe because they grow organically. I don't know, but definitely the flavors are a little bit different for sure. They're more pronounced there. But that's true for France, for instance, as well.
Right.
The stuff that I eat here, I don't know why. I think maybe because there's less GMO there. I think that's the only explanation.
You're spending time in Orange County a bit. Have you stopped by Café Moulin?
No, I have not.
Oh, excellent bakery, French bakery.
Okay, I'll have to try that.
No, seriously, amazing. And they opened next to them a bistro. It's been there for about 8 years. The bistro is just new and opened up. When you come by, we should go there.
I definitely would love to.
I wish, because isn't it hard to get good French food here in California?
Actually, California has pretty good French food. I mean, there are a lot of places that make incredible food. They are very good. I mean, over here in Paso Robles, there's a place called Bistro Laurent. Okay. And I love his cuisine. I mean, I feel like I'm in France. And he really focuses on flavor. So you will find that, but it's not as prominent, but you do find it.
Yeah, that's funny you say Bistro Laurent. The guy who owns Café Moulin is named Laurent.
Laurent also?
Yeah. Okay. You explained a lot, and like I said, I'm going to direct them to how you're so passionate into making the wines and the phenolics and where you are going. I've heard you use the word relentless about yourself in interviews. I want you to explain that a little bit more. I mean, it's a powerful word, and I see it, but
yeah. Well, it's a story of immigrants. I mean, we're not just immigrants, but we're immigrants twice. We've immigrated twice.
Right.
And as an immigrant, you know that you come to a new country, you don't have family, you don't have friends, you have no choice. You have to be successful. You have to be able to provide. So you have to be relentless in what you do. And that's what built that relentlessness that my brother and I have. And I think today it's part of us. It's not like we're not at the same point as we were obviously 30 years ago, 40 years ago, but that relentlessness is still here. When we're passionate about something, it consumes us. It's the best way to describe it. Wine consumes me. I mean, I dream about it at night. I wake up in the middle of the night with ideas. My brother the same. I mean, we are so, the word in French is acharné, relentless. We are relentless about pursuing our passion. And our best message is always going to be in the bottle.
Yeah, it is. Just one thing that you say about how do you remember a really great wine? How can you tell a really great wine versus a really good wine? I think it goes along with in your opinion, it's the memories. If you remember it,
absolutely,
and then you can still taste some of the ones that you have.
Absolutely, I can still remember. My palate still remembers wines that I tasted 30 years ago.
Yeah,
and it's like, how is that possible? But ask me to remember a wine that's just okay.
Yeah,
I can't remember it, but I will always remember the great wine.
There's a new friend we have in common. I've known him for a long time. Wherever I go to restaurants, if they don't have Daou on the menu, I talk it up. I'm friendly with the servers, the owners, the managers, everybody. There's a great restaurant. I'm not going to name the name, but I love their wine list. It's one of the only places I will go to without taking my own bottle.
I know which one.
Because they bring their own. Hard to find bottles. It's not the regular California run-of-the-mill wine
and
list.
For many years, they didn't sell our wine because they were looking for things that were not commercial at all, that they could, nobody can get. I know exactly the price.
Right. And I kept telling him over and over. And it's funny because he said, "Dude, when are you gonna?" Because he's the sommelier that they have there. He's very he's broad. He doesn't like just big bold reds.
And he's very talented, by the way. He comes from wine country, so he knows his wines really well.
Yeah. So he's shown me a lot of great wines over the years, but at the same time, I am feeling, again, nothing against anyone. Some people's palates are different. Comparing your wines to others, there was a time a few years back where I found a bottle from Paso, not naming names, and it's in the same price range as a Daou Cab Reserve. And I got it, just try it out, and it was good. I liked it. It was easy to drink, tasty. The part that I didn't realize at the time was what I'm going to come to. So I even told our friend Sohail, I introduced him, I go, Danny's doing things and he's upping the bar in Paso Robles. So these other guys are starting to come up. That was my perception. I don't know if I'm right, but that's what I thought. So I had these two bottles together. Yours and theirs. And we tasted them together, and I'm bragging. I'm like, this is gonna be a competition to Daou. This one's like, they're playing ball here. And then when we had them together, I was like, all right, it's way too sweet. I don't know what I was saying. Maybe because I had it by itself, that I didn't notice how sweet it was. And then when I had the Daou Cab Reserve next to it, it's comparable in price and region, let's say, I noticed the sweetness. And I started not trusting certain wines being a certain, just too sweet. I know a lot of wine drinkers who aren't maybe connoisseurs like sweetness.
Well, sweetness, so let me give you a little background. First of all, our reserve and our estate wines are beyond just dry. So let me give you an example. When you have 2 grams per liter of sugar or under, it's considered a dry wine per Bordeaux standards. Mm-hmm. Most of our wines, our reserve and estate, are under 0.5 gram per liter. 0.5. So it's very dry. People often use sweetness, added sweetness that they add, to mask issues. So for instance, if you have a wine that's bitter, you can add sugar, you mask the bitterness, so you don't taste it. We don't do any of that. Our reserve and our estate wines are made naturally with only our native yeast. That's it.
Right.
So what you're tasting is a real terroir-driven wine, the purest expression that what Mother Nature can provide to us in terms of the grapes to make the wine. I'm not going to speak about other wineries, but I know for a fact that many wineries will sweeten up their wines the same way people sweeten up a lot of things. I mean, you go buy a loaf of bread in the supermarket, many of them have sugar in them because people like sugar. But we don't really go this direction. We really focus on dry wines, on really having a pure representation of the terroir.
Yeah, you don't have to sell me. Mm-hmm. And these guys watching I'm hoping there's some people who came to this video looking for Daniel Daou or looking for Daou Vineyards information, and I hope it's another piece of content they can get. But for my friends, my followers, they know a lot of times in our circle of friends on Facebook, people will put in, wine has nothing to do with hookah, but they'll say, John, did I do good? And they'll show me the bottle of Daou. So
I've seen a lot of these posts.
Daniel, I've got so many more questions to ask you. I've seen you hint on Italy and Tuscany. What's next? Is there any Daou projects there?
absolutely. Tuscany is another place that actually resembles Paso quite a bit in terms of climate and soil. It's about as close as you can get. And obviously, being Mediterranean, we love the culture, love Italy, love the people, love the food. We are a global company today. We are in 50 countries. And for us, we think it's smart to have a Tuscan play, a Super Tuscan, that would be able to get our brand into places that otherwise is not. And there are some places that, let's face it, have not adopted California wines yet. So I think this allows us to actually showcase what we can do with these varieties in Tuscany. So we are actually right now in escrow on a beautiful property.
Oh, nice.
If all goes well, we should be starting soon the planting of the vineyards.
Excellent. Can't wait. I mean, I've seen you come achieve goals throughout this whole project. It's only been how many years since you bought this property here?
2007.
2007. It's 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I want to go on some more things. You've had some additions to your staff. By the way, your staff is great. Anytime I'm here, they always take care of
incredible people.
They are incredible. You've got some new additions. You recruited, you scouted, they came to you?
They came to us during the fires in Napa back in 2017. We got a phone call saying that this person is and his wife are due to deliver a baby any day. And hospitals were all shut down because of the fires, because of treating emergencies. They didn't know where to go. There was no place where they could go. So we wanted to obviously be a good Samaritan. So we hosted two couples that happened to be from Opus One.
Oh, okay.
Throughout this tasting, we had the chance to taste them on patrimony.
Nice.
And in their words, I would say they just fell in love. They didn't think that a quality like this could be achieved ever in the world. Since then, we had conversations, and they ended up joining. So many of them ended up joining. One of them, was offered actually to run Opus One, but decided to come and run Patrimony. One gentleman was there for, I think, 21 years. He pretty much built up California for Opus One. Now he's on our team. And another person is going to be announced soon, and we actually had another person as well. So the team basically from Opus One fell in love with the story, fell in love with the wines. I love talking to them on a weekly basis. They get so many successes out there introducing Patrimony that it is such a thrill listening to them, being out in the fields and promoting the wines.
Yeah. So now you've got staff from other parts of the wine industry. You also have staff that obviously you and George are brothers, that started this, but you have family members, you're employing your family, and they're doing some pretty exciting things here at Daou.
They are.
Okay.
They are. I have 5 children. The oldest one, Catherine, is truly a whiz at social media, digital marketing. She managed that for years. And I tell you, I have yet to go on the road and not hear, "We love your daughter." They don't even know her because she's just really a natural when it comes to these things. My second daughter, Lizzie, got her bachelor in enology, wine and vit from Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. Then did few internship all over the world. Ended up getting a master from 3 universities in Europe, including the University of Bordeaux. Then got offered an internship at Chateau Latour, arguably one of the most prestigious winery in France. And now is working in Bordeaux at 3 different chateaus, helping with the winemaking. So very proud of her, and eventually I'm sure she'll come back to the family and be involved with us again, but she's enjoying the life in Europe and the experience that she's getting. My third daughter, Anna, who just had a baby, manages the vineyard at Patrimony Estate. She's doing a great job. She's very passionate about being out in the vineyard. My son, Joseph, is in the process of finishing his winemaking degree at Washington State University. Then he'll be joining. So, and my last daughter, she's too young right now. She's 18, but she has a great palate. But, we're a family-owned, family-operated, and we are multi-generational now. So we have 2 generations of winemakers, and hopefully many more to come.
That's right. You have 3. Did Dad make some wine? Or no?
No.
Dad drank wine?
Correct. He drank wine.
I wish I met him. I heard so much about him.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got the family. We talked about Italy, changes, some fun stuff. Hobbies, what do you do besides wine?
Tennis, golf, hiking, fishing. Those are my hobbies. I have a house in Colorado, and when I'm there, especially in the summer, that's all I do. Fish, play golf, hike, and play tennis.
Before I met you,
our church had a golf tournament. I remember we're all waiting. It's a golf tournament, it's shotgun, right?
Yep.
Everyone goes at the same time. And we're waiting. I'm like, all right, we're going to go, and this SUV comes pulling up. You and your brother and your group, your foursome, jump out of the car and onto the green. Do you remember that year?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like at least
1990 something, no?
I don't know, but as soon as I started hookah, I quit playing golf.
Yeah.
I played about 2 or 3 times since then, and
so when I became a winemaker, I actually quit for about 10 years because I didn't have time. But I started again 3 years ago, and now I'm back into it. I love it.
Nice. Okay. You drink anything besides wine?
Not really. If alcohol, I'm a wine drinker.
Okay.
That's really what I drink the most. I mean, once in a while, maybe I'll try different things like a margarita or something. But I'm very much of a wine drinker.
Okay.
I don't even drink beer, honestly. I'm a wine drinker. I love wine.
Other brands of wine. You're a wine drinker. What other, whether it's a different country, California wine, what would you drink other than Daou?
So there are a couple things that I do drink when I don't drink Daou. The first one is Burgundy. I love Pinots from Burgundies and also from Oregon and some from California, but I love Pinot Noir. It's a beautiful grape. I make 3 Pinots, small productions. So, but even when I'm not drinking Daou, I kind of tend to go towards a Burgundy wine, white or red, Chardonnay or Pinot. Otherwise, I love drinking those super Tuscans and actually even some Sangiovese from Tuscany. I like some Barolos too. So that's kind of where my palate likes to go if I'm not drinking my wine.
I was going to actually send you a picture the other day. It was Sunday, and one of the restaurants that I really, really love only has Italian wine. That's why I take my wine all the time. They don't even charge me corkage. We're such good customers, and they love us, and we love them. So they opened another branch, Bottega, and they had they've increased their Italian wine. But I'm looking at it; it's kind of like, for someone like me, it is like another language. Whether it's French wine, Italian wine, Spanish wine. So I need to learn a little bit more. So hopefully you can bring something over from Tuscany. You can turn me on to the Tuscans, because I heard of Barolo.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite Tuscan wine. Actually, my property is their neighbor. That's how much I love the wine.
Nice.
I love the winery and the wine so much that I decided to actually look for a place right next to them. And it's a winery, unfortunately, that doesn't ship to the United States. So you would have to contact them and they can ship it to you. It's a small production, and I love their Super Tuscan, which is called Guardia. And also they make a Sangiovese that's actually really nice. And the winery is called Podere Forte, Forte. You can Google it. Really incredible wines. I'm very impressed with these wines. So I will drink these once in a while. When I'm in Italy, I drink a lot of that.
Okay, excellent. Okay, I think we're gonna, except for, I'm here, but thank you for having me in your wine cellar. This is
my pleasure.
This is your personal wine cellar in your house. This is an amazing collection you have here.
Thank you.
All right, so I know it took years to build up, and you've got some very special bottles here. What does a guy have to do to get a drink here?
Know me.
I meant right now. Anyways, after
open a bottle right now. You pick.
No, we'll do it. Thank you, Daniel. We'll do it after this. Still early in the day, but thanks for having us out. One thing I wanted to say, like Suhas said, Danny's the Steve Jobs of the wine industry. Great. But what I always tell people about you is what you've done in these 15 years takes generations to do. I mean, what you've built, if you ever go to Daou Mountain and see what you've accomplished there, you and your brother, and your family, you should be the grandson. It should have been your grandfather who built this. That's how far it's come along.
Thank you. We feel very blessed. I mean, as you said, most wineries, are very old. 15 years in the wine business is nothing. But even worse than that, if you think about it, the first Sullivan line was only introduced to the market in 2013. That's really 8 years ago. And yet, in a matter of, actually 9 years ago, in a matter of 9 years, that wine has caused ripples all over the world and is really giving a run for their money to wines that cost a lot more than that. So we're very proud of this wine. We're proud, obviously, of the accomplishments. We feel blessed, thankful. Those are the words that are really on our lips. And we're going to continue focusing on delivering our passion in that bottle.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you have in store for the future. For me, it's my wine drinking for my life is set. I already know what I'm going to be drinking from.
Oh, thank you.
It's not from now on. It's been this way. If you see, I built a wine room in my house recently. I got 2 Autocave fridges, and they're all. When I discovered Daou Vineyards, my collection went instantly to 50% now.
Well, thank
Okay.
you. I know you like the Malbec quite a bit, and the Cab Franc.
Oh yeah, those
And
are
the
great.
412 Cab.
The
Those are your
412 is my
favorites.
favorite. Yeah,
Mhm.
Cab Franc is great. The Malbec is great. I'm going to tell you about the Malbec in a second. But now there might be one or two other bottles that are gifts that I received from people that are non-Daou wines. And since I'm up here, I'm going to be making a pickup. Want to let you know how proud I am of you and your family, two-time immigrants, okay, and what you've done for our country here in the U.S., how you've represented Lebanon and France. And
Thank you. We feel the same about you, by the way. You're a success story. I mean, you came out of nowhere, and I sometimes talk about you. Everybody knows HookahJohn. So
Yeah.
we're very proud of your accomplishments, John.
Thank you,
I want
thank
to
you.
know that.
Thank you. And I wanted to give you a gift that a friend of mine gave it to me. And the reason why I said I want to bring up Malbec, a friend gave me this. He makes this with through Sunscribe. It's called Sunscribe,
Uh-huh.
and he takes he's out.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he takes magnifying sheets of glass and he burns right into the wood.
Wow, this is just beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to keep this in the cellar here.
You got it.
Yeah, so definitely I will keep it here
And
and
so-
hang it maybe somewhere.
Shout out to him, Michael Papadakis. He's been to Lebanon. He loves Lebanese people. He loves the culture. Yeah, Greek. He's Greek originally, and he made it for me. And it was a surprise he came. So I actually have some wine at work, some Daou wine at work. So it was that or a Malbec or a Soul of the Lion. I gave him the Malbec. Anthony said, why didn't you give him the Soul of the Lion? You can get more of the Soul of the Lion. You can't get much more of the Malbec.
That's right. The Malbec
So-
is a very small production.
Yeah, but it's special because he did that for me. It's special. I'm gonna ask him to make me another one.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you, John. I will definitely cherish it and keep it in the cellar. I'll always remember.
You got it.
Very nice.
All right, Daniel. Again, thank you. Thank you to your family.
Thank you,
What you've
John.
done for us.
Always a
All
pleasure.
right.
Your family, John,
Thank
and
you.
really, and we're equally impressed with your accomplishments. I think the Lebanese spirit is definitely alive in all of us.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Time for some wine.
Yes.
All right.
That
All right.
sounds good.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.